This is Lara Hamilton with Real Progressives, and we're here at the California Democratic Party State Convention, and I'm with Marisol Rubio, who's running for the State Senate District 7.
And the reason I'm running is because for the past 23 years as a single mom of a disabled and chronically ill child, I have firsthand experienced a lot of the deficiencies that we have within both our educational healthcare system, and not only from the end of the child, the disabled child, but also from the parent. What are the needs and necessities that are not being met? And since then, I have also wanted to formally expand my understanding of how we learn and etc. and went back to school to study neurobiology, and I want to apply that knowledge, both my firsthand knowledge as well as my educational knowledge, and work I have done as a bilingual science teacher to try to take that and try to help students who are also struggling with learning disabilities, as well as the parents, to help support them so that they are better empowered to be supportive of their children.
So what happened in your journey with your daughter? Where were the deficiencies that you saw that you're thinking we need to change?
Well, one of the major things that happened in particular was that we didn't have childcare for children who had
Special needs.
Special needs, specifically if she had any history of seizures. They immediately became concerned about liability issues, and suddenly you were left with no resources as a parent. How are you supposed to go to work, provide income, a household, right? Maintain a household when you don't have anywhere to leave your children in care, safe care, so that you can go to work. The other thing is that from the educational stance, there was also a lot of problems where there was a shortage of services. So when you'd have these special education advocates, per se, within the district, that their sole job was to advocate on behalf of the child, but somehow they would essentially become gatekeepers. So when the resources are short, they essentially work against you to try to restrict how many people they're letting in for the services they need. In the case for my daughter, this was reading comprehension, and I had to eventually hire an advocate to come to work with her for a while, and then come and advocate for her at the actual meetings. And it was very common to see lawyers showing up for these IEP meetings, and these are things that every child in this country gets without any such difficulties, quite frankly. But because they have disabilities, and because the schools are stretched so thin, it's literally like a battle with the school district to get the services you need.
So basically you're running because of the frustrations that you had and the families that you saw suffering, as well as your own. And so that's really what you want to try to do, something to fix some of these issues.
Well, we haven't had any major legislation in almost 30 years on behalf of anybody with disabilities. And it's not just disabilities, but it's also, I am looking out for veterans, because many of them also suffer from PTSD and many other disabilities. So they're included in that as well, and as well as our elderly. And we also have to, there's other issues that I'm very passionate about. As someone who studied science, and I love nature. California has such beautiful outdoors. I want to protect that. The environment is very important to me. And I think that right now our government isn't being as aggressive about taking the measures necessary to prevent a crisis 12 years from now. So we absolutely need to be much more proactive about that and look at it for the crisis that it is. The other issues that I'm very passionate about are, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, our healthcare as well, but resources for also making sure that the healthcare system serves as a liaison between the patient as well as outside social services, and making sure that
they start coordinating and working together, as opposed to these different assessments that you can get that don't always work together.
And the problem is a lot of times. Exactly. Oftentimes they'll give you a list of resources, but what they don't understand is if you are, say, a family that's of an income, a certain income below $115,000 even in California, you can't afford to spend your time running around trying to get into plug with these different services. You should ideally have someone who helps manage their case, coordinate their case, whether it's adult or child. Many times they will have this for children, but not oftentimes for if it's an adult that's incapacitated and the family member's still caring for them. The biggest issue
Caring
also
for the caregivers.
right, the caregivers is very important as well, because the quality of care that disabled persons have also is a function of the caregiver's well-being.
Right.
And right now, as it stands, they save $470 billion to the national healthcare system, but they're getting paid about $12.50 an hour, and in return with no retirement benefits whatsoever. And their insurance is out of pocket. You have to pay for it, and it's basically like Medi-Cal, but it's very limited. It's like the affordable care, so you have to go to certain clinics and such. So.
Right, so limited resources equal not getting the services that you need. And everybody suffers as well.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about some of the other people that are running and how you differ from the other candidates that are running at this point.
Sure.
Yes.
So the incumbent that's running is Steve Glazer.
Okay.
He has been a two-term senator, and he's running for his last and third term.
Okay.
However, there has been he hasn't been very proactive in really passing or writing legislation that is addressing the issues that are affecting the people of our district.
Right.
And in fact, when there was a bill presented to lower the pharmaceutical drug prices, he was one of the three Democratic senators who actually voted it down. So that's not the only point, but another big issue was the fact that he doesn't support the union workers when they strike, and there was an issue with the BART strike, which is the largest one that he happened to not support. And so this affects everyday people who are, living on limited income, and when they have to strike and they're not getting the support of their senator, this is a real problem.
So basically, this is an individual that is not voting progressive or thinking along progressive lines at all.
Not whatsoever.
Right. Okay.
And then we do have another gentleman that's running who's also happens to be new. I don't know too much about him.
Okay.
Other than he's a cooking teacher and culinary teacher in high school.
Okay.
And that's about it.
Okay. That's wonderful. So, is there anything else that you'd like to tell real progressives right now?
Oh, absolutely.
About,
well, first and foremost, I want you to know that I realize that many Californians are struggling right now, and that they need someone in our government who's going to speak up for them and who's not going to waver with pressure. And as a person who's been advocating for my daughter for the past 23 years, I have sat at many tables being pressured by a group of doctors, or whether it's a group of people from a school district trying to strong arm me into doing certain things, and I will not back down. And fortunately for my daughter's health and well-being, it has turned out better for her outcomes because I stood my ground. And one of the things I've learned since then is to trust my voice and to not waver no matter what. If I'm here to represent the people, I'm running because I realize we're in a crisis right now. There are people with a housing situation. They're on the verge of going homeless. Where I live, the house rent over a course of just 15 months went up $600 per month.
so no rent control, obviously.
We need none.
Right.
And so we need to statewide implement some type of rent stabilization with consideration for families that are on, fixed incomes of some nature, such as the elderly or the disabled. This is very, very troubling.
It's very serious.
Very serious. The crisis is already very visible throughout many cities in our state. So, and also with as far as education, another component going back to that, we're talking about charter schools and how that's affecting major cities like Inglewood and Oakland, and running these parallel systems, and how that is also, need some oversight. Charter schools received over $48 million in federal funding, of which over 2/3 was unaccounted for.
Right.
We give out money and don't account for that. So, and then at the same time, they're taking a disproportionately low amount of enrollment for high-need students. So they're really saddling a lot of burden and without funding for our public schools.
So what I'm hearing is that you found your voice through some of the struggles that you went through.
Absolutely.
And in finding that voice, now you feel like you want to contribute and make some major changes so that the people can get what they need.
Absolutely, and I firmly believe that I am the person to do this, not only because I understand your struggle, I've lived your struggle, but I will not waver on this because it impacts not only you, but it impacts me equally. I have a daughter that one day will have to live independently, and I want to make sure that she also is safe.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
Really,
you.
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming out today at the tail end of the convention.
Not a problem.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.